The stars had always been a mystery for humanity. For centuries, people had looked up at the night sky, wondering what lay beyond. For most of history, humans had only dreamed of reaching the stars. But in time, they learned to build ships that could travel far beyond their home planet Earth. At first, no one noticed them. Other civilizations, ancient and powerful, existed across the galaxy. Some had ruled the stars for thousands of years. To them, humanity was just another young race, small and unimportant. Their ships were fragile compared to the great war fleets of alien empires. Their colonies were few compared to the countless worlds already held by others. But the aliens made a mistake. They ignored humanity. And while they ignored them, humans worked, building in the shadows. The first human colonies were small, mining outposts on asteroids, research stations orbiting distant planets, and settlements carved into frozen moons. Life was hard, and many believed humanity would fail. But humans had something unusual compared to other species. They adapted. When resources were scarce, humans invented new ways to recycle. When the environment was harsh, they built machines to survive. When enemies threatened, they created alliances and fought together. Unlike many alien empires, humans did not wait for their governments to do everything. Traders, explorers, and engineers worked side by side, often without waiting for permission. Private ships mapped new routes. Small groups built stations and outposts on the edge of known space. One by one, small colonies grew. A mining station became a city. A research base became a hub of trade. And slowly, without the galaxy realizing, a network of human settlements stretched farther and farther. The whisper of trade aliens first noticed humanity not because of war, but because of trade. On neutral trade stations, alien merchants found human goods, strong metals mined from deep asteroids, food that grew quickly even in poor soil, medicines that healed faster than their own. At first they thought these were stolen or rare, but soon they realized humans were producing them everywhere. Alien traders who worked with humans found them strange. Humans bargained fiercely, yet they were also fair. They could be friendly one moment, tough the next. They were quick to learn alien languages and even quicker to copy alien technologies, improving them in unusual ways. A merchant once said, "Dealing with humans is like dealing with fire. If you respect it, it warms you. If you underestimate it, it burns you." A different kind of growth. Unlike the great alien empires, humanity did not claim vast star systems with fleets of warships. They expanded like roots in the soil, quietly and patiently. One alien race, the Zaviri, had once declared, "Power is shown through strength. Only those who rule by force can hold the stars." But humans showed another path. They grew strong by building connections. Their colonies shared resources. Their ships carried goods not just for themselves, but for others. They became the link between alien species who once avoided each other. And as trade grew, so did their knowledge. Every deal, every partnership, every exchange taught humanity something new. A farming method from one species, a ship design from another, a new form of medicine from a third. Humans never stopped learning. The alien view, most alien leaders still dismissed humanity. "They are only merchants," one alien council member said. "They cannot fight. They cannot rule. They are useful, yes, but nothing more." Another replied, "They spread too quickly. They build too much. They will cause trouble." But the first one laughed. "Then let them. When they are too large, we will crush them. For now they are convenient." This arrogance blinded them. The great empires had grown so old and proud that they no longer noticed how quietly humanity was building something new. Unity and diversity on Earth and across the colonies. Humans faced many challenges. Different nations, cultures, and beliefs often disagreed. But when it came to survival in space, they learned to work together. A miner from Mars could share resources with a farmer from Europa. A scientist from Earth could work with an engineer from Titan. Even when they fought among themselves, they always remembered one truth: they were stronger together. This unity shocked many aliens. Some species had collapsed under their own divisions. Others had created empires ruled by fear. But humanity's strength came from cooperation. Small sparks of fear as humanity's presence grew. Some alien captains began to worry. They saw human colonies on worlds once thought worthless. They saw human ships in trade lanes once considered too dangerous. And they saw human goods in markets once controlled only by ancient powers. "They are everywhere," one alien whispered. "They are too many," another replied. But still, most leaders did nothing. They thought the humans were harmless, the hidden fleets. What the aliens did not know was that while humanity built trade ships, they also built defenses. Every colony had patrol fleets. Every station had armed guards. Every mining base had turrets hidden within its structure. Humans remembered their history. They knew peace could not last forever, so quietly, without drawing attention, they prepared. Their warships were fewer than those of great alien powers, but they were clever, efficient, and constantly improved. When alien spies saw these fleets, they laughed. "These ships are small. They will break against our cruisers." But they did not understand. Humanity did not build to impress. They built to win. The children of the stars, a new generation, grew up among the colonies, children who had never known Earth as their only home. For them, the stars were natural. They spoke different languages but shared one identity: human. These children dreamed not of nations but of galaxies. They studied alien sciences, learned alien art, and then created their own. They were faster, more daring, and more determined than their parents. One teacher in a colony school said, "We are no longer Earth's people. We are the children of the stars." The turning point: by the time alien empires finally noticed, it was already too late. Humanity controlled hundreds of small colonies, thousands of trade routes, and countless stations hidden across space. No single battle had been fought. No single empire had fallen. And yet humans had created something stronger than war: influence, a quiet empire, built not with swords but with hands, an empire no one had expected. And though most did not see it yet, the first sparks of conflict were already waiting, for in every shadow there were those who feared what humanity was becoming. And fear always leads to danger. The galaxy had seen many powers rise and fall. Great empires had ruled for thousands of years, but most grew weak over time, weighed down by pride and tradition. They believed they alone held the keys to the stars. To them, humanity was still young and untested, but slowly the truth became clear. Humanity was no longer just a collection of scattered colonies. It had become something greater. The web of connections. At first, the change was hard to notice. A mining station on one asteroid seemed small. A farming colony on a frozen moon looked unimportant. A trade hub in deep space seemed ordinary. But when all these outposts connected, they formed a network unlike anything seen before. Ships moved from one human settlement to another, carrying food, metal, technology, and people. The colonies were never truly alone, for they always had help from their neighbors. Aliens began to realize that while humanity had no single throne, no single ruler, their strength came from unity. A blow against one colony was answered by many others. A loss in one system was quickly rebuilt with the help of distant worlds. This was not an empire in the old sense. It had no crown. It had no ancient dynasty. It had no monument declaring power. Instead, it was like a web, flexible, strong, and always growing. The moment of revelation. The wider galaxy finally noticed humanity's rise during the Gathering of Nations, a rare event where hundreds of alien civilizations met on a neutral world to discuss trade. For centuries, humanity had been given only a small corner at these gatherings. Their representatives had been placed at the back, their voices often ignored. But this time was different. When the doors of the assembly opened, the human delegation arrived in force. Ambassadors from Earth, Mars, Europa, Titan, and dozens of colonies walked together. They wore no crowns, but they carried confidence. They spoke in many voices, but their message was one: humanity stood united. When they presented their trade maps, the entire hall fell silent. The glowing charts revealed hundreds of trade routes stretching across sectors once thought unreachable. Human colonies formed bright nodes on the map, each one connected to the others. The network reached into the territories of many alien species, weaving through their worlds without them even noticing. One alien leader whispered, "This is not a network. This is an empire." Building without conquest. What shocked the galaxy most was that humanity had not conquered these worlds. They had not sent massive fleets to force others into submission. Instead, they had offered trade, cooperation, and knowledge. Many alien colonies had actually asked to join human networks. Some worlds were abandoned by their original rulers, left without protection. Humanity had offered food, medicine, and security. Others were small trading posts that had been ignored for centuries. Humanity had welcomed them, given them opportunities, and connected them to a greater whole. For the first time, species that had once been enemies now worked together under human guidance. A reptilian farmer shared crops with a mammalian miner. An insectoid scholar worked beside a human engineer. They did not see themselves as subjects of a conqueror. They saw themselves as partners in something new. The shock of the old powers, the ancient empires did not take this revelation kindly. The Zorath Dominion, rulers of 1,000 years, called humans parasites. Their council declared they spread without permission. They bind worlds to them with trade. They are not conquerors, they are thieves of loyalty. The Vayari hierarchy, known for their towering fleets, mocked humans. They think they are builders of empires. Their ships are small. Their weapons are weak. They play at power, but when war comes, they will crumble. Yet beneath their words lay fear. For the first time in centuries, something was rising beyond their control. The strength of adaptation. What the aliens could not understand was humanity's greatest strength. Adaptation. Every alien empire had rigid traditions. The Zorath built the same ships for hundreds of years. The Vayari fought with the same strategies for centuries. Their strength was in their stability, but it was also their weakness. Humans were different. If one method failed, they invented another. If one design broke, they built a new one. Their ships were never the same. Each generation was faster, smarter, and more efficient than the last. One alien scholar remarked, "Humans are like water. When you block one path, they find another. When you strike them, they do not break. They flow around you." A silent military. The galaxy saw humanity's trade fleets, but they did not see the quiet military strength growing beneath the surface. Human defense fleets had been small, built mostly to protect trade routes from pirates. But each year the fleets grew larger and more advanced. Small patrol ships became destroyers. Destroyers became cruisers. And hidden in shipyards deep in asteroid belts, larger vessels were being built. Still, humanity did not boast of its strength. While alien empires paraded their fleets in grand displays, humans kept theirs hidden. Their focus was not to impress others, but to be ready when needed. This silence created a dangerous illusion. Many alien powers believed humans could not fight. They saw only merchants and colonists, not warriors. They thought the human empire was paper-thin. They were wrong. Seeds of resentment. Not all aliens welcomed humanity's rise. Some saw opportunity in trade, but others saw only threats. On alien worlds once ignored, human colonies now thrived. The locals were grateful, but the distant rulers grew jealous. They asked themselves, how did humans succeed where we failed? Some alien leaders whispered that humans were dangerous. They claimed humanity's kindness was only a trick, that soon they would tighten their grip and rule by force. Fear began to spread. And with fear came anger, the human spirit. But humanity did not see themselves as conquerors. On Earth, leaders gave speeches about unity and hope. On Mars, miners spoke proudly of building not just for profit, but for the survival of all. In deep space colonies, children were taught that they were part of something larger, something greater than themselves. To be human was no longer just to belong to Earth. It was to belong to the stars. One teacher in a colony school told her students, "We are not here to rule others. We are here to build with them. If others close their doors, we will build new paths. If others push us away, we will still offer our hands. That is what makes us human." A growing shadow still. Even as humanity grew in peace, the shadow of conflict stretched across the stars. The Zorath Dominion began to fund secret raids against human trade ships. The Vayari hierarchy started blocking human merchants from certain markets. Other alien empires began whispering of alliances to contain humanity. But humanity continued to grow. Every loss was answered with resilience. Every blockade was answered with a new route. Every raid was answered with stronger defenses. The galaxy had expected humans to remain weak. Instead, they were stronger than ever. The declaration it was during the centennial of the first colony, 100 years after the first human settlement beyond Earth, that the truth was finally spoken aloud. On the colony world of New Dawn, leaders from across human space gathered. The celebration was broadcast across the stars. Millions of humans watched, as did countless aliens who were curious about this rising power. The president of the United Colonies stood before the crowd and spoke. "We never set out to build an empire. We set out to survive, but survival gave us strength and strength gave us unity. Now we are more than survivors. We are builders. We are explorers. We are partners. If others call this an empire, then let it be so. But let the galaxy know ours is not an empire of conquest. It is an empire of hope." The speech echoed across the stars, and though many cheered, others trembled. For they now realized the truth. Humanity had become something far greater than anyone expected. The calm. Before the storm, for a short while, peace held. Trade continued. Colonies grew. New ships launched. To many it felt as though humanity had truly secured its place among the stars. But beneath the surface, danger brewed. Old empires could not accept this new power. They saw humanity not as partners but as rivals. They whispered in secret halls, planned in hidden chambers, and waited for the right moment. Humanity had built an empire no one saw coming. But the galaxy's balance had shifted. And balance once broken always leads to conflict. The war had not yet begun, but its shadow was already falling. The galaxy was vast, filled with countless stars, worlds, and civilizations. For thousands of years, the great empires had ruled unchallenged. They were ancient, proud, and secure in their belief that nothing new could ever threaten them. But humanity was changing everything. The empire no one expected had grown too large to ignore. Its web of colonies and trade routes spread across space like living roots, binding worlds together. To ordinary merchants and settlers, humanity was a blessing. To the rulers of old empires, it was a danger, and so, the first sparks of war were born. Shadows in the trade lanes at first. It seemed like random attacks. A convoy of human ships carrying grain to a frontier colony was ambushed by pirates. A mining station sending metals to Mars reported raiders destroying its cargo. A medical supply ship carrying rare medicines vanished without a trace. Pirates were common in space, so most did not suspect anything unusual. But as the attacks increased, a troubling pattern appeared. The pirates were always well armed, using weapons too advanced for common raiders. Their strikes were too precise, aimed only at the most important convoys. The human commanders began to suspect the truth. These were not random raids. Someone was supplying the pirates, someone powerful. Whispers of conspiracy in the Grand Council chambers on Earth. Leaders met in secret. Military officers, trade representatives, and colony governors all gathered to discuss the rising threat. Admiral Rahman, commander of the Outer Fleet, spoke with sharp words. "These pirates are no ordinary criminals. They are trained, supplied, and directed. Their weapons are Vayari design. Their ships use Zorath alloys. Someone is behind this." Governor Eliza Chen of Mars added, "And that someone wants us weak. They want us afraid. They want to test how far they can push us before we fight back." The council fell into silence. They all knew the truth, though none wanted to say it aloud. The old empires were moving against humanity. Alien doubts. Even among the alien powers, there was division. Some rulers believed humanity was a threat that must be destroyed before it grew too strong. Others argued that humanity could be useful allies, bringing trade and prosperity. But fear is louder than hope. The Zorath Dominion in particular pushed for action. Their emperor declared, "The humans grow like a disease. Today they call it trade. Tomorrow they will call it rule. If we do not cut them out now, they will strangle us all." The Vayari hierarchy agreed, though for different reasons. They saw humanity's adaptability as dangerous. If humans could learn so quickly, then one day their fleets might truly rival the hierarchies. And so, in the shadows, these empires poured weapons and credits into the hands of raiders, mercenaries, and insurgents. Their plan was simple: weaken humanity before it could ever rise to challenge them openly. Humanity responds, but humanity was not blind. On the colony world of Horizon, a convoy was attacked by raiders. But this time the humans were ready. Hidden among the cargo ships were armed escorts disguised as freighters. When the pirates struck, the escorts revealed their weapons, blasting the attackers before they could escape. The battle was short, but it revealed something important. The captured pirate ships carried weapons with alien markings, proof of foreign involvement. Admiral Rahman presented the evidence before the Human Council. They thought us blind, he said, his voice steady. But we see them now. They wanted to test our strength. Now they will know we are not weak. The first siege, the conflict grew worse when the colony of New Eden, a lush world rich in resources, came under siege. Raiders, supported by alien warships pretending to be independent mercenaries, surrounded the planet. They blocked food shipments, destroyed satellites, and demanded the colony surrender. But the people of New Eden refused. Farmers, miners, engineers, and soldiers all stood together. They built defenses, armed their ships, and prepared for the worst. For weeks, the siege continued. Supplies ran low, families hid in shelters. Yet the colony held strong, sending a single message across the stars. We will not bow. The Human Council could not ignore the call. They sent fleets to break the siege. The battle that followed was fierce, with human ships outnumbered 3-1. But they fought with determination and creativity, using asteroids as cover, luring enemy ships into traps, and striking where least expected. When the smoke cleared, the raiders were destroyed. The siege was broken, and the galaxy saw the truth for the first time. Humanity could fight and win. Reactions across the stars. The victory at New Eden sent shockwaves through the galaxy. To human colonies, it was a sign of hope. Citizens celebrated in the streets. Children cheered the names of the brave captains who had fought for their freedom. For the first time, humanity saw itself not just as builders but as defenders of their empire. To the old powers, the victory was troubling. The Zorath Emperor raged that his plan had failed. The Vaeri hierarchy grew uneasy. Their leaders whispered that perhaps humanity was stronger than they thought, but instead of stopping, the empires grew more determined. If small raids could not weaken humanity, then larger moves would be needed. The call for unity back on Earth, the Human Council held another great meeting. This time, the chambers were filled not with fear but with resolve. Governor Chen stood and spoke with passion. We are no longer a people struggling to survive. We are no longer scattered colonies fighting alone. We are one. And if they seek to test us, let them see the strength of our unity. Admiral Rahman added, The old empires believe we are weak because we are new. They do not understand that new does not mean fragile. It means alive. It means strong. And it means ready. The Council voted to expand the fleets, strengthen defenses, and create alliances with alien civilizations that supported peace. Humanity would not seek war, but it would no longer hide from it. The first alliances, not all aliens were enemies. Some species had suffered under the rule of the great empires. They saw in humanity a chance for something different. The Tavari, a small aquatic race, signed trade agreements with humans, sharing water-based technologies in return for protection. The Irani, a desert-dwelling people, offered rare minerals in exchange for partnership. Even some members of the Zorath and Vaeri empires secretly sent envoys, hoping to ally with humans against their own rulers. These alliances strengthened humanity further, proving that their empire was not built on conquest, but on cooperation. Fear turns to open threats as humanity's strength grew. The whispers of conspiracy became open threats. Alien leaders began to speak openly against humans in their councils. Fleets moved closer to human borders. Trade routes were blocked and diplomats were insulted. The galaxy was dividing. On one side stood the old empires, fearful and angry. On the other stood humanity and its allies, determined and united. Everyone knew what was coming. The warning flame. The final spark came on the colony of Aurora, a shining city built on a glowing world. It was attacked by an unknown fleet that destroyed half the settlement before vanishing into space. Thousands were lost. The attackers left behind no survivors, but fragments of their ships revealed Zorath designs. The evidence was undeniable. When the news reached Earth, sorrow turned to rage. Vigils were held across the colonies. Families wept, but their voices joined into one call. No more. The Human Council gathered, and for the first time they declared openly what everyone already knew. This is no longer hidden raids. This is war. A galaxy holding its breath across the stars, civilizations watched. Some trembled, fearing what was to come. Others prepared, choosing sides. Humanity had not sought this war, but it had come all the same. The galaxy that once ignored them now saw them clearly. No longer just builders, no longer just traders, the humans were something more. They were fighters. They were survivors. They were ready, and as the fleets prepared to launch, one truth burned in every heart. The war with the foreigners had begun. The galaxy no longer whispered. It roared with the sound of war. The raids, blockades, and secret attacks had grown into something far greater. The alien powers, fearful of humanity's rise, finally moved openly. They no longer hid behind pirates or mercenaries. Their fleets now carried the banners of ancient empires, and their weapons pointed directly at human worlds. The war had begun. The first great battle. The first open clash came near the colony world of Elysium Prime, a rich planet filled with farms, factories, and millions of settlers. Scouts reported a massive Vayari fleet approaching, led by war cruisers older than any human ship. Their numbers were overwhelming, their weapons legendary. The Vayari expected an easy victory. They called humanity children playing at war, but the humans were ready. Admiral Rahman commanded the defense fleet. He studied the Vayari approach and saw their pride. They came in a straight line, confident their strength alone would crush resistance. Rahman smiled and gave his order. Do not fight their strength. Fight their pride. The human fleet split into smaller groups scattering across the system. They used asteroids for cover, lured Vayari ships into ambushes, and struck at their supply vessels instead of their strongest cruisers. The battle lasted 3 days. The Vayari destroyed many human ships, but their formation collapsed when they lost fuel carriers and communication relays. Confused and broken, the once mighty fleet retreated. Humanity had held Elysium Prime. Against all odds, they had won. The Galaxy Watch's news of the battle spread like wildfire. To the human colonies, it was proof that they could stand against the old empires. On Earth, people cheered in the streets. On Mars, miners painted the names of fallen ships on the walls of their tunnels in honor. But to the alien rulers, the news was terrifying. If humanity could defeat a Vayari fleet, then perhaps they were not weak at all. Perhaps they were something greater. The Zorath Dominion responded with fury, vowing to teach the humans their place. They began preparing fleets larger than anything seen in centuries. The galaxy was no longer in balance. War was spreading like fire. The unity of colonies in the past, colonies often struggled to feel connected. Distance made communication slow. Supplies sometimes took months to arrive. But war changed everything. Now, every colony sent what they could. Soldiers, engineers, ships, resources. No one was left behind. On Horizon, children collected scrap metal to help build ships. On New Eden, farmers sent food to feed distant armies. On Titan, scientists worked day and night, inventing new weapons to match alien technology. Humanity was no longer just a collection of worlds. They were one people united by survival. Battles on the frontier, the war spread to the edges of human space. Colonies far from Earth became the first targets of alien attack. On the frozen moon of Halora, a small garrison of human soldiers faced a Zorath fleet. Outnumbered and outgunned, they refused to surrender. For weeks they fought among the icy caves, striking from hidden tunnels. When reinforcements finally arrived, the Zorath found their fleets in ruins and their soldiers demoralized. On the desert world of Iridian, human engineers turned sandstorms into weapons, luring alien tanks into traps where the wind and dust blinded their sensors. What the Zorath thought would be a swift conquest became a humiliating defeat. Every battle told the same story. Humanity might not have the largest fleets or the most powerful weapons, but they had creativity, courage, and unity. The alien confusion the old empires could not understand. How can they fight so well? The Vayari High Commander demanded. They have only a fraction of our fleets. A Zorath general replied with frustration. They do not fight as we do. They do not march in straight lines. They strike, vanish, and strike again. They are chaos. What the aliens saw as chaos was humanity's strength. Humans adapted to every challenge, finding new paths where others saw only defeat. A turning point. The Battle of the Belt, the most famous battle of the early war, took place in the Orion Belt, a region of dense asteroids. A combined fleet of Zorath and Vayari warships moved to crush the colonies hidden there. Their plan was simple: sweep through the belt and burn every human outpost they found. But Admiral Rahman had a different plan. Human ships hid among the asteroids, powered down to avoid detection. Drones disguised as rocks floated silently, waiting for the signal. Civilian miners joined the fight, turning their tools into weapons. When the alien fleet entered the belt, the trap was sprung. Mines exploded, drones attacked, and asteroids were pushed into the paths of massive cruisers. Human ships struck from every direction, vanishing before the enemy could respond. By the end, half the alien fleet was destroyed, and the rest retreated in confusion. The Battle of the Belt became a legend, proving that humanity could not only defend but also strike back. Hope and lost victory brought pride, but war always carried sorrow. On Aurora, still recovering from its earlier attack, alien forces struck again. This time humanity could not save everyone. Thousands were lost and entire cities burned. The tragedy reminded all that victory was never free. Families mourned, soldiers wept, and leaders carried heavy burdens. Yet even in grief, humanity did not give up. Instead, they grew stronger. Memorials were built, and the names of the fallen became a rallying cry. For Aurora, we endure. The role of allies humanity was not alone. Smaller alien species, long oppressed by the Zorath and Vayari, began openly joining humanity's side. The Tavari provided fleets of fast aquatic-designed ships. The Irani gave rare crystals that powered new energy weapons. The insectoid Krixa sent entire legions of soldiers, eager to fight against the empires that had enslaved them. Together they formed the Coalition of Free Worlds, a new alliance led by humanity. For the first time in centuries, the old empires faced a united front they could not easily crush. The speech that changed everything on Earth. In the middle of the war, the president addressed the galaxy in a broadcast that reached countless worlds. We did not seek this war. We built, we traded, we offered friendship. But when attacked, we will not bow. We are human. We are survivors. And we stand not only for ourselves, but for every world that dreams of freedom. The old empires may call us weak. Let them, for we will show them that true strength is not in fear or chains. It is in hope, in unity, in the courage to fight for tomorrow. The speech inspired billions. Even some within enemy empires began to question their rulers. The alien realization, the war dragged on. Battles were won and lost. Worlds were saved and destroyed. But one truth became clear to all. Humanity could not be defeated easily. The Zorath Emperor, once confident of victory, now spoke with unease. They are not like the others we have crushed. They are something new, something dangerous. The very commanders admitted the same. Every battle teaches them. Every defeat makes them stronger. How do we defeat those who learn faster than we can kill them? The answer, they feared, was simple. They could not. Toward the final struggle, as the war entered its second year, both sides prepared for greater conflict. The old empires gathered massive fleets, determined to deliver a crushing blow that would end humanity once and for all. Humanity, in turn, built new weapons, stronger ships, and deeper alliances. Their colonies trained soldiers, their factories built war machines, and their scientists pushed the limits of knowledge. Everyone knew the final struggle was coming. The galaxy held its breath. The humans, once ignored, once underestimated, were now at the center of history. They had built an empire no one had seen coming, and now they were proving they could defend it. The war was not over. The darkest battles still lay ahead, but one truth could no longer be denied. Humanity was here to stay. The galaxy had changed forever. What began as whispers of war had become a storm that touched every star system. The old empires, Zorath and Vayari, once rulers without question, now fought for their survival. Humanity, once dismissed as weak, had grown into a force neither empire could crush. The final battles were coming. The gathering storm Admiral Rahman stood on the bridge of the flagship Endurance. The ship floated above Titan's shipyards where thousands of vessels prepared for war. The largest fleet humanity had ever built stretched out before him, warships, freighters, carriers, and small scout craft. Around them gathered the fleets of allies, Tavari aquatic cruisers with shining hulls, Orani crystal-powered ships that glowed with strange light, and the insectoid Krixa swarms who fought with fierce loyalty. It was the Coalition of Free Worlds, a union that had grown stronger with every battle. Humanity stood at its heart. Rahman looked at the stars and thought of Earth. "This is more than our war," he said softly. "This is the war of every free people." The enemy's final move far across the stars. The Zorath Emperor and the Vayari High Council held their own meeting. "These humans will not stop," the Emperor growled. "Every defeat makes them stronger. Every ally they gain makes us weaker. If we allow this to continue, our empires will fall. The Veari counselors agreed. Then we strike at the core. We burn their heart. We end them before they end us. Their plan was bold and ruthless, a joint assault on Earth itself. The fleets of both empires, rivals for centuries, united for the first time. Their goal was clear: destroy humanity's birthplace and shatter their will. The defense of Earth. When human scouts brought news of the enemy's plan, fear spread like wildfire. Earth was more than a planet. It was a symbol. If it fell, morale across the colonies would break. But humanity did not panic. They prepared. Fortresses were built on the moon. Mars's shipyards produced weapons day and night. Civilian freighters were armed with railguns. Every soldier, every pilot, every engineer knew the battle ahead would decide not only their lives, but the future of all free worlds. The coalition fleets raced to Earth, ready to defend humanity's cradle. The Great Clash. The enemy arrived in numbers never seen before. The sky above Earth filled with alien warships, their weapons glowing like stars. The ground shook as orbital strikes lit the upper atmosphere, but humanity stood ready. The coalition fleet formed a wall around Earth. Human ships at the center, allies at their flanks. Admiral Rahman raised his hand and gave the command: all ships defend our home. Today the galaxy learns why humanity endures. The battle began. Missiles streaked through space. Railguns fired. Energy beams cut across the void. Thousands of ships clashed in a storm of fire and steel. Human tactics once again confused the enemy. Instead of standing still, fleets scattered, regrouped, and struck from unexpected angles. Small human ships darted among massive alien cruisers, striking engines and communication relays. The Tevari dove through enemy formations like predators in water. The Quixo swarms overwhelmed boarding parties. Still, the enemy pressed forward. Their numbers were overwhelming. For every alien cruiser destroyed, 2 more appeared. Slowly, the line defending Earth began to break. Sacrifice and courage on the moon's surface. Defense platforms rained fire upon the invaders until they were destroyed one by one. On Mars, engineers launched experimental weapons that burned bright, but consumed their ships in the process. Countless human captains rammed their vessels into alien flagships, giving their lives to protect their homeworld. The battle became not only a clash of ships but a test of will. Humanity refused to yield. The turning point: Admiral Rahman knew they could not win by defense alone. He saw the enemy command ship, a massive Veari dreadnought, leading the attack. If it fell, the enemy fleet might collapse. Focus fire on the dreadnought, he ordered. Human ships pushed forward, taking heavy losses. Drones exploded against its shields. Fighters swarmed its flanks. The Endurance itself charged through enemy fire, its hull burning, to deliver the final strike. With a thunderous explosion, the Veari dreadnought split apart. Its destruction shook the enemy fleet. Confusion spread among their ranks. Seizing the moment, humanity counterattacked. The coalition surged forward, breaking alien lines and forcing them into retreat. The battle for Earth was won. After the battle, when the smoke cleared, Earth still stood. Billions across the galaxy cheered. For the first time in history, the Zorath and Veari empires had failed in a united strike. The old empires were shaken. Their fleets had suffered too greatly. Their people, long kept in fear, began to whisper, "If humans can stand, why can't we?" The balance of power had shifted forever. The fall of empires and the years that followed the war slowly ended. The Zorath withdrew to their core worlds, weakened and divided by rebellion. The Veari, shamed by defeat, signed treaties they once would have laughed at. World by world, systems broke free. The coalition of free worlds grew not through conquest but through choice. Planets joined willingly, eager for the unity and freedom humanity offered. The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear. The new dawn humanity did not build an empire of chains. Instead, they built something new, an alliance where every world had a voice, where strength was shared, and where no species was left behind. Earth became the heart of this new order, not as a throne but as a meeting ground. The colonies thrived, free and strong. The allies who had once fought side by side became neighbors, partners, and friends. The galaxy entered an age of rebuilding, of discovery, of hope. The legacy-remembered monuments were built to honor the fallen. On Aurora, where so many lives were lost, a great tower rose. its light shining into the sky as a symbol of remembrance. On Mars, names of heroes were carved into stone that would last for ages. On Earth, children grew up hearing the stories of those who fought in the darkest times. They learned not of conquest but of courage, not of domination but of unity. Humanity's true legacy was not only survival, it was the belief that even the smallest voice, the weakest world, could rise against impossible odds. The words that endured. Years later, Admiral Rahman, old and tired, spoke to a new generation of officers. We were never meant to rule the galaxy with fear. We were meant to show it a new way. We are human. We make mistakes, we fall, we bleed, but we always rise again. And that, more than any weapon, is why we endure. His words became part of history, carried to every world of the coalition. Epilogue. A galaxy changed. The stars burned as they always had, but the galaxy beneath them was new. Where once empires ruled with chains, now free worlds thrived. Where once humanity was ignored, now their name was spoken with respect. They had built an empire no one had seen coming, not of conquest but of unity. And though wars would come again, though challenges would rise, one truth would echo through the ages. Humanity endures. Humanity builds. Humanity inspires. The galaxy would never forget.